Okay, we're back. We're gonna move on to lesson 28 today. And in lesson 27, I mentioned that we were this week going to be on the key of G flat. Key of G flat. The chord for that is, as you see here, 3 black notes, and I believe I mentioned it last week that G flat and F sharp are the same things, and I've always found it easier for me to work with a flat than it is a sharp. I don't understand why, but that's okay. So in other words, as far as the chords are concerned, so that's just the way I am. So you could figure out if you want to go with an F sharp or a G flat, but I'm going to teach it with a G flat because I think in the long run it's going to help you out. Okay, now after last week's lesson, I took a few minutes and I just sat down and picked a little sound here and there, and I think I put a rhythm to it. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember. Anyway, I played on Jammin' 4. So if you go to videos and you look up the video I'm playing in called Jamming 4, you'll see the song that I created in the key of G flat. And just for going back a ways, before that I did a Jammin' 3 in the chord of F. And if we go back before that, I wrote a song, The Love of Another, and that's in the key of E. And to be honest, ever since I started putting the lessons up on YouTube, I've been writing songs coming right off of the lessons. In the key of C, I stayed in the key in C until we started moving into the other keys, and then as I produced lessons, I did them in those keys that we were going, so I could always refer them back as this is what you could do. Okay, so if you look at Jammin' 4, in other words, like I'm jamming, in the key of G flat. And what we're going to do this week is we're going to just talk about G flat, and we're going to talk about you putting together a progression of whatever way you want to do it. And I'll give you just a little bit of an idea, and I want you to do the rest, most of the work. And then once you get a progression, I want you to think about words to go with that progression. And if you're going to be singing with a song, you just need to go to one of my videos where I'm singing. A good one would be like Love of Another. That was something I did kind of get my wife on my side a little bit. I let her know that I cared for her. A nice little song. Anyway, so, but when you're doing an instrumental, you're producing sound, and so you just want to do the instrumental, but as much as you can do. When you're singing, I talk about the left hand is backup and harmony for your right hand, and your right hand is the lead. Okay, when you're singing, you're the lead. And then your chords are the background. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. In other words, you try to support your singing. And I don't want to try to sing anything. I'll run out of air and I'll have to cut the lesson short. That's what happens when you got bad lungs. So don't paint cars, don't smoke, and all that good stuff. So, in the key of G flat, we went through them last week. We're going to do it again. So we have G flat, of course, and then we come up a full step to A flat minor, because the second step and the third step are both minor. So we go from A flat minor to B flat minor. So we have our B flat and then we minor it. Okay, now we go to a C flat. Okay, this is where, here's C. Now if we want to flat that, flat is 1/2 step down from whatever we're talking about. Well, we're talking about the chord C. So 1/2 step down is B. So whenever you see the signature of a flat, then it would be the chord, which is completely gone. All 3 parts of that chord are flatted, so you drop down a 1/2 tone on all 3, the first, the third, and the fifth. So again, we have B flat, A flat minor, B flat minor, C flat, D flat. Now we're coming up on the 6th progression of the chord, which is always a minor. So it's E flat minor. And then another full step to the last part of it, which is always a diminished. So we have F sharp diminished. No, we have F diminished, excuse me. So here we are. So we have F diminished. Okay, now, to put a progression together, we need to listen to all those. We just did that. So, for instance, okay, so I went from a G flat to an A flat minor to a B to an E flat minor. Okay, and you could use those 3 chords to just go over and over and over again to write a song, and you would put that in whatever progression you want to go to. You could play the G flat, for instance, for 2, 3 bars, 4 bars, whatever you want to. Come in with A flat minor, and then drop back to G again, and just go to B flat minor. In other words, find a progression that you like, and use that for a chorus, or use the first part of it for a chorus and the rest of it for the rest of your song. You want to break your lyrics up into, well, let me just show you. I typed out a lyric for a song. I am going to call it Love Derailed, and I'll just read it to you. Don't tell me you love me. Start showing me. Don't tell me you love me. Start showing me. Don't blame me. Don't be afraid. Don't be cruel. Show me more than a night of passion as if to please. Don't tell me you love me. Show me more than hello and see you later. I'm not your alligator. I'm your passionate lover. Don't appease me. Please me. Don't take me for granted. Hence I become disenchanted. Take nothing for granted, because in a second it can all be gone. Gone is never coming back. So get on the right track, or I won't look back. I'm going to sing this twice, so you understand. Going gone, going twice, gone. And then, of course, I sing it again, or I'll have a break and go on to do something different. Now, remember, I'm going to do this in the key of G flat. Now, I wrote Well, I put together a sound. I can call it a song. It sounded pretty good. The jamming for. I don't know if these lyrics will go with it, but I'll give it a shot. And if not, if it will, I may rearrange that a little bit so these lyrics go with it, or I will write something in the key of G flat for this one. Okay. So I want you to do the same thing. And you notice where I have these lines here? Okay. As you're writing these, you're writing phrases. You try to rhyme one phrase to another. In the art of writing lyrics, it's like a poem. In other words, it's almost like you're just writing a poem, but you're going to put music to it. And in a poem, you're doing a lot of rhyming so that it sounds appealing and harmonic. And so we're doing the same thing in writing a song. Okay, so the two things you're going to work on this week is still working with that progression, getting good at it as far as adding a sixth, minor, augmented, or diminished, or a seventh, or ninth, one of the sevenths, either major or seventh, into different parts of your progression. And then writing that down and writing it into a form of a song. In other words, figure out how many bars you want to go with each one that sounds good. And you'll do that by doing this. I'm in G flat. In other words, in whatever way you want to do that progression. So if you take and you look at the fact you have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 different chords. So 7 times 7 is 49. So we can get 49 different variations, basically. So it gives you something to work with. But just for a tip, you want to kind of go up a little. And you want to go back down. In other words, you want to progress up, progress down, and you want to jump down sometimes to get an effect. In other words, keep working all those chords in different configurations until all of a sudden something hits you and you like that. Okay, so if you look at jamming 4 that I did, you'll find that what I was doing was playing. One thing nice about all these black keys, you can do all kinds of things. You do all kinds of stuff because they're all the black keys. In other words, you can just follow them in reverse back down, up and down, round and round. You've always got the blues, which is 1, 4, and 5. So 1 is here. 4 is the C flat. with that we did this was in 4 bars, and then we moved up to this was in 2 bars, and then 2 bars, and then back down, if you remember how we did that in the key of C. And but the main thing is just to work finding a progression so that you have something to write your song around, and you get used to how those chords sound. Yeah, I'm just using different progression. I'm just using them in different directions. But if you keep practicing that way, and when you hear something like what I just did, you have to remember it. And I don't remember what I just did. And that's usually my case. That's why I'm always recording, so I can listen to what I just did over again. Or, like right now, I've got the video camera on it, so you can look at what I just did by starting and stopping that video camera, and you would know that progression if you liked it, and you could also play that progression, see how it's done? That's why when you're watching a band play, sometimes the real catch of the song is not being seen. You can't see what he did with those notes because they don't want to reveal that. Well, I don't care about that because I'm teaching you how to play something. So, and to learn how to become productive and put your soul out there for everybody to keep, and maybe you never get famous, but you'll be happy because you're doing something you love to do, and that's what it's all about. So, to get back to it, you're going to work on the full chord progression, and then you're going to break that up into individual progressions to put a song together. And they need to flow into each other, and then you need to end the song. And you can start with a beginning, like an introduction of some sort, with a select amount of a couple chords or just one chord, and then come into your progression that you like, and then go to a center part where you're doing more of a history of what this song is all about. And she left me today, she left me tomorrow, whatever it is, and then get back to the chorus again and go on to the end of the song, however you're going to do it. But take a look at that jamming 4, take a look at jamming 2, take a look at jamming 3, because they're all on the progressions that we've been working on. So that's the way to learn, and that's the way